All right, today we are live from Pulowski Pinball Studios. I got a bunch of things to talk about just real quick, so if you don't really care about pinball that much, or you're not really following my company like down to the T, just skip all this. You don't need to watch this video. Real quick, I took a trip to the Pinball Palace in Georgia. A bunch of these machines I found issues with. There were like 6 or so that had issues, and I had to go report them. And it seemed like they were so surprised that they had machines with issues. I'm like, do you have any paper or anything? They're like, here, let me get a piece of paper. So, yeah, anyway, just found a bunch of issues on the games. In Orlando, the area, there's a lot of techs and companies, arcades around here that keep up their games a lot better. So that was interesting. One thing to note, I played the Elton John game. I've played this twice now, once at a distributor and on location here at the Pinball Palace. I had noticed this issue and I reported it to them, which, anyway, so the issue right here, as you see on the screen, this flipper is really offset. It's supposed to be over here in the corner. I'll show you the photo here from the actual trailer. If you zoom in here, look, you see how this is angled. So like if you look at Stern's playfields, they put little drill dots where the flippers are supposed to align to, and I guess JJP doesn't do this, very interestingly. And I went to the people and I said, here's a bunch of issues with your games, and one of them, I'm pretty sure your flipper's off. It doesn't seem right. And I wasn't sure at the time, but I was correct. But again, if you're like an old person that just buys games and puts them in an arcade to make money and you're not a huge pinball guy, and you don't know that that dot isn't there or what the flipper, then you just never know that your flippers are in the wrong spot. So it just seems weird that yeah, JJP doesn't have those dots. A couple other things, I got to play most of American Pinball's games. Didn't really like them. I've played the Valhalla game once. It was on location in an arcade. I didn't put enough time in it at the time, and it was a little bit early before I really understood pinball and modes and different things. So yeah, but I got to play Oktoberfest. I got to play Houdini, and I think one other one. Oh, the barbecue game. Yeah, just, I don't know, just nothing really like super positive to say about any of them. I played America's Most Haunted from Spooky. That's their first or second game. I actually enjoyed that more than the American Pinball games, and it's even got 3D printed parts inside for like the ghost and stuff and different things. So yeah, I enjoyed playing that for a while. I wouldn't buy it or like play it long term, but it kept me interested enough to keep going, so I gave it a thumbs up. They also had the James Bond 20th edition. This is again originally a $20,000 game. I think it could sell for between like 12 and 20,000 depending on the distributor. So I think a lot of them went for like 15 grand. Yeah, again, just nothing super interesting. Like the game's all right. It's a single level play field. It's definitely not worth 20 grand. I don't know who decided that. They also had one of the Fathom games from Haggis, and yeah, it does look really good. It's just too bad that the company went the way it went. I'll just show you some footage here just to show you kind of what it looks like. The lighting's really cool. If you're into that style of old games, I mean, it was cool for what it was. I got to play the Queen game by Pinball Brothers. It's missing a mech or two, you know? That's the thing with Stern, is their game design is like, we need one key mech that does something cool, and then everything else is kind of secondary. And I feel like the Queen game just doesn't have that main mech or like satisfying shot, because everything else there, like it feels good to shoot. The music sounds good. Everything's like good about it. It just doesn't have that, like, again, that key shot. Now, I just want to show you something that when I originally announced Pinball Designer and it got like 9,000 views on YouTube, within like a day or two of releasing that video, I had a company reach out to me that is interested in pinball or does pinball. And here's what they wrote. I'll just put a pause on the screen so you can read it for a little bit. So if you read it, and I showed my wife this, and it's kind of funny because because to me what it reads as, hey, you know, it's cool that you have this pinball designer that does all this physics and integration and stuff, and you have circuit boards. It's like, yeah, we want to do the same thing. It'd be great if you could kind of just like give us that tech. Like we'll work with you and we'll just like share information. You know, it's like, it doesn't really talk about money. It sounds like they want to share with you. Like, you know, it just, even if they wanted money, it's just funny that I built this platform by myself. They say that they're a team of people, right? Like, get off your ass and go work, dude. Like, what do you, I mean, I can't, I just, it blows my mind that there's people out there that just don't want to work or do anything. And yeah, they just want the easy way out and think they can, again, They basically just said that we're competitors, but they want me to just give them all my stuff. Like, no, I'm doing that. I started to get in pinball for money, for profit. I think my ideas, and when I get to them, if I finally release a game with the affordable price that I want, it's gonna be a huge success, and I'm gonna get rich off. But again, yeah, like when you read that email, it's kind of funny that it's like, here I am working another 6 months. If you want your own physics-based thing where you can drag and drop and build homebrews and stuff, just like I'm doing, then go build it. What have you been doing for 6 months? Why are you relying on me to build it while you sit and do nothing and then think I'm gonna just give you my product? That's insane. This just came up. This guy, Precision Pinball Flippers, if you guys know of him. If you don't, what he does is makes these metal tight-fitting pinball flippers that can flick the ball, and they're really tight-fitting in there, and it helps to hit the ball. It gives it a little bit more power as you hit it with the same electrical power. So it's fixing any loss in mechanical losses when friction is rubbing and stuff. Anyway, he got a patent granted, and here's just a photo I saw in one of it, and I don't know if this could be like fully granted this way or enforceable. What he did is he put a notch as one of the things to help. So he notched out the flipper shaft so that it could grab onto a flat surface instead of a circular surface. And this is actually one of the ideas I had. If I have a flipper, I'll show you it, but I had, grinded mine down so that it would fit tighter into some different things that I had built. So I have some other ideas that are patentable, and I don't know, maybe I'll just show them off to you guys so that it's out there, and then people don't take those kind of ideas, because he filed for that actually 2 years ago, and I've been working on these flipper mechs for like 5 years. Now, that wasn't really the final design, and I kind of went away from it because I wanted to be able to like interchange my parts with other ones. If people, had any issues, or they thought I was like going to go out of business, they could just grab stuff and replace it as needed. So I was kind of trying to mirror what's out there. Here's a video of Kerry Hardy from the other day from the Multimorphic launch of the Portal game. And it was funny because I hopped onto his chat just to see what was going on. I didn't know they were announcing until I saw his live stream, so I just hopped on there to watch the video. And somebody asked, what does this thing cost? And I said it costs $13K. And you gotta watch his reaction here.
It ain't $13K.
Right, so it's kind of weird because the game actually does cost 13,000 bucks. So I'm not sure why he seems like, oh, it's a joke, like you're just BSing me. I mean, he interviewed these guys, and that got released the same day. But you go to the Multimorphic website, the base product is like 11,500 plus shipping. That's like 12 grand. So you're not far off from 13K to be like, yeah, come on, dude, you're just being stupid. It's like, no, that product is 13,000 bucks. And that's the base one. The next one up, I think, is 12,500 plus shipping or so. So it puts you into 13,000. Now, I don't know if on their website, they just say that's the final price. I don't know if they're charging sales tax or they're just taking it out of their cut and they're paying the sales tax for you. All right, so let's just look at Wonderland's Kickstarter right now. So I had estimated since once day one was over, I said they probably hit 600K in sales. That's kind of what they're trending towards. Here's a graph that I made that tracked it out. Obviously, I've been tracking this really tightly because I'm making an affordable game as well. We're in different markets, different prices and whatnot. So yeah, here's just a graph to show day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're pretty much peaked out. They're making maybe like $5,000 a day right now. That might go down to zero pretty soon. We'll see. One thing to note is, they're not doing Europe yet. So if they got 500,000 and 500 and some backers, then you might get 1,200 units sold and break over 1 million potential here for the sales. So yeah, they're not dead yet. Their whole plan was go to retail. They said that apparently they didn't really need the Kickstarter. So it seems like their whole goal is to really just hit retail. So nobody knows, right? We don't know if it's going to be successful or not. So it's kind of crazy to call it dead at this point. There's a Pinside thread that I've been on. I've been kind of posting back and forth with people, and I don't really take a negative or a positive. I just try to say, like, here's what you got to observe to, take your emotion out of it, right? Look at it as a business. Some people are saying like, oh, it's not successful, it's going to fail. I'm like, well, they're just kind of getting started, so you can't call it a failure yet. I'm sure it'll sell something in retail. We don't know if that's 1,000 or what. If you read their Kickstarter, which I didn't realize, they said that they had 4 million units sold of their arcade 1-ups. So it's kind of weird because if you sold 4 million copies and you made $50, as little as $50 profit on every one of those games that went to market for like $600 roughly or so. I think they went on sale for like $350, people were saying. Little as $50, 4 million is $200 million in net profit, right? So you're just going to pay taxes after that. if you're making that kind of money, I don't know why the owner was making Shuffle Golf, which only made $32,000 on a Kickstarter. And then, as some people said, he said in a video, yeah, we canceled that project because someone was going to sue us because they said that they kind of owned the rights because I was working under a contract for some reason. I'm not sure, but I think the real reason is that game was just going nowhere, right? This small pinball game they got obviously has a lot of sales potential. You see it, 500K versus 52K is a huge difference in sales potential. But I'm assuming, yeah, he's made all this money and was rich, and it's not even worth me to lift my finger to make this game. So yeah, I don't know, just an observation there. So one other thing is, in the thread I'd mentioned to these guys, I'm not sure how the tariffs work with these consumer products. So here's just a photo I took from an electronic supplier. The same power supplies that Wonderland is going to use in their machines, if you buy those, just the raw power supply right now on an electronic supplier, they're going to charge you a tariff fee after you buy it. And also, if they give you a discount on a quantity of 10 and take 20% off, they take 20% off the tariff as well. So it seems like the tariff is applied after the actual cost of the product. I'm not sure how it works anyway, but so I just don't know if there's tariffs or not for this product. And somebody had said some different things, but I just wanted to point that out to them as hey, we're paying tariffs on some of these things, and these games definitely have power supplies in them, those same exact ones. So either they're paying the tariffs on just that, or they're paying it on the full machine. But I don't think they can just get away with all tariffs. Another thing too is so far it's it's a successful, I say it's a successful product, right? It's just like if you put a new drink out in the supermarkets, right? You're just going to get samples. You don't have a product ready yet. You just go, hey, take a sip of this drink. Does it taste good? And people say, yeah, it tastes really good. That's good. If 100% of the people say it's good, it's a successful product. So yeah, I think it's a successful product, right? It's just they have 5 people that are owners or co-owners, plus all these dev guys and engineers and all this. You add all those things up, I don't think it could be profitable, but it's a successful product in my opinion. I mean, again, with Europe, you're looking at maybe 1,200 people wanted to buy this. Even Spooky's games at the price point they're at, it takes them a while to sell out of 750 units of any of their games that they come out every year. So I think it's successful. I think it's a good idea. It's a similar idea that I had. So yeah, if this was one person and you got one guy that does all the electronics, all the programming, all the R&D, all that stuff like I'm doing, then yeah, it makes sense. I could have maybe turned this into an American-made successful business. Now, Retro Ralph mentioned me on his YouTube. He's the second time he's done it, so I appreciate it. And I'm trying to give him some, things behind the scenes so he knows what I'm doing, just because, I'm not going to put people on NDA. If people are going to talk about your company, I'm willing to share what's willing to go out there. So I pick key people, and it's you only give the information you're willing to let leak. So I've been talking with him, and I've been giving him some behind the scenes information. But one thing he does say in this video is that I am making a smaller, affordable game.
This guy, his YouTube channel is Pulowski Pinball. He's been trying to make a smaller scale pinball machine for a long time, but he writes software.
Actually, I'm making a full-size game. When I first went to, out in the world, I just cut pieces of wood and started drilling holes. I didn't even know what the size of a pinball machine really was. I never owned one at the time when I started. It wasn't until about 4 years in or so that I even bought a pinball machine. Even some of the dimensions for Stern games that you read online, they were actually off by an inch. But anyway, my game setup right now is full size, full cabinets and everything. I can tell you that my games are actually longer shooting than any game I've seen. So I actually have about 2 to 3 inches longer of a playfield than a normal playfield. For various reasons, I took the apron and just brought it back. So bringing the flippers back a little bit, and I can also extend my playfield another inch. So it's not a big deal, but yeah, it just gives you a longer shot. And with that too, as you make it longer, you can push all your shots further away from the flippers. And when you do this, I always hate when the ball rolls like this and then you got to kind of flip it here. Foo Fighters is really bad with that. If you keep the flippers at the same angle that it ships with, to hit this one right ramp, you really got to get it right off the tip almost to get all the way perfect and up that ramp. So by pushing the shots back further, it makes it so that the ball, you can hit these side shots because they're further back. You can hit them more towards the middle of the flipper than just rolling it off the tip. So that's one thing. That's one reason that I did that.
As a matter of fact, I've talked to him a couple times, and he offered to help Wonderland Amusements with their pinball machine, and they declined.
Now, another thing he says in the video is that, yes, I did offer to Wonderland. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm about to have a kid. I've been working on this for a long time. I would never give out my core tech or any of that stuff. But, to give these guys guidance and say, just see like, what are your estimated sales numbers? That's kind of the key question here is like, how many are you looking to sell to make this viable? Because I don't think this is like video games. This is not a huge market. Again, right now you're at 550 units. All of the pinball world knows about you. All of the casual pinball people know about you. All of the arcade people know about you. These P-dub guys and all these guys I've never heard of, I started following now that are in like the arcade world. They've been pushing this whole Wonderland thing out there. So you got all the advertising out there. You got 550 units. What are you going to do in retail? That's the key. And I just don't know the answer to that. But what he said is, yeah, I'd reached out to them and they declined or whatever. The thing with that is I kind of knew they would decline, and I don't even know how I'd approach it because we're two competing companies, essentially. It's not really easy. I just kind of threw it out there for the heck of it. It's like, hey, here's who I am. Like, if you wanted to pay me a little bit of money, here's kind of the rate I would look at, and I can take a look at your whole business and just tell you. So the core issue I see with Wonderland isn't even the price, right? I think they could build a product underneath what they're saying. Some people think it's going to cost like $2,000 to build that product or something, but no, I think they can build it under there. It's the scalability. But the key issue I see with the product is that it just doesn't look like it's a fun game. I think the layout is bad. There's no key mechs, which is kind of the Stern design standard in my opinion. You got to have something interesting to shoot. The middle shot can't just be a couple pop bumpers. I just don't see how that's any fun. So my opinion is that you could downsize any game right now to any size and still make it fun. It doesn't matter about physics. So when you downsize a real physical pinball machine into the virtual world, you're talking about, I could play it on my phone, right? Which is like this big. And I could still play a physical representation of an actual game just scaled down on any screen level. And those pinballs are going to be this big. And they're going to see them bounce around. And it's still going to feel like the real game. So again, if you think about it in the virtual world, right, a ball can be 1 pixel big, 2 pixels big, whatever. It's all relative to the physics of the whole game and the layout. So again, my opinion, it just needs a better layout. I think that game would have sold way better and it would have looked way better if they had more interesting stuff inside of it. So I just finished watching the Turner Q&A with Kerry Hardy. Just one thing to point out is at the end he mentions about how he has direct-to-consumer sales on his website, but he's also, open to working with distributors.
So just people know, obviously you can buy direct right through our website, but if you feel comfortable working with a particular distributor and they've given you outstanding support, definitely work with them.
Like if you have your own local distributor that does Stern games that you're used to going with that you like you can go to them and try and get the game through them. And this is one thing that when people talk about the bill of materials in games, is having a distributor in between the company and you is, they got to take a cut of money. So if you got a Stern Pro that's going for $7,000 and a distributor can sell it for $7,000, well, they got to buy that game for at least $1,000 less to make that profit up, right? I don't know if it's 500, 1,000, it could be more. And I think as you go up to the different tiers, up to like the $12,000 or $13,000 LEs, they get a bigger profit margin out of those. So yeah, again, with my company, I'll never work with a distributor. There's just no way to do it. And when you look at something like Kiesel Guitars is a company that I followed, they do custom guitars. He's mentioned over the years just so many times how Guitar Center has approached them over the years, a few times, hey, we'd like to get your guitars into Guitar Center. And these are custom guitars that are made for like $3,000. Some of them go up from there. It depends on what wood options you do. But if you're talking $3,000 that he sells direct to consumer, he's like, well, if I sell it to Guitar Center, they got to sit on the shelves there and wait, and people got to play them. And so they got this inventory that's just sitting around, and they also got to make a profit on it. So not just make a quick sale profit like pinball, it's also got to sit in the store for a little bit. So you got a guitar that's like $3,000, it's got to sell for maybe $5,000. And he's like, I'm not interested in doing that. I want the lowest cost product for high quality to consumers and guitar players out there. So again, that's kind of my theory and my methodology with my business. All right, guys, I'm signing off. So I do, like I said, I have a side project that's a little bit secretive here. I'm hoping it's going to be done in like a week or two. I think you guys will find it really interesting, and it's going to get a lot of traction.